Tell them only the government can have that power now. You go out there and try to convince the people of the 38 states that you're going to need to get that amendment passed to agree with your opinion of them versus their opinion of you. I dare you. 12 million unarmed men, women, and children were unable to resist being murdered by their own National Socialist government in Germany. Perhaps 50 million unarmed men, women, and children were murdered by their own Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. 50 million Chinese murdered by their own government under Mao, who also disarmed his people. And in Cuba, and in Vietnam, and in the killing fields of Cambodia. Now you say that can't happen here? You say we're protected? By what? By the Constitution that you're in the process of destroying? You are in violation of your oaths of office by so much as introducing this legislation, let alone passing it. My fellow Americans, the previous inhabitants of this chamber watched as 100 million people were murdered after being disarmed by their own governments. Every single one of those men, women, and children were as real and precious and irreplaceable as the children at Newtown. And I tell you here and now that I will be damned if I will let that happen to the American people.
Just a few things I found on the internet. Let's try this one more time. And I have the recording going. Only caught about half of that one, but we'll catch this one.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States. Individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic. A state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life, without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all. For all. Which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
I don't think we need redneck today. Just a few things to think about. And these are Red Skeleton, if you don't know him, is back from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and Paul Harvey. I used to listen to him as a kid when I was growing up, sitting on my grandpa's lap. And now you know the rest of the story. So that should be and all this is on YouTube. So it's 2:30 straight up. Welcome to the WINGIT call. It is August 19th, 2016. And there's a little bit going on, not a lot going on. Oh, disclaimer, the recording's already running. Disclaimer is we're not attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors. This is our opinion. This is not to be taken as any form of legal advice. For the rest of the disclaimer, please go to the wingitcall.com. There's a disclaimer tab. Click on that, and you'll have the rest of the disclaimer. Wingman's running a little late today, which is he has a right to, and I understand. Let me see. You know what? I forgot to respect my elders. Art, come on down.
Your elders. Okay. Hey, that's fantastic. You played that. I heard that a few different times throughout the last few years, and I met that man in person at Red Skeleton. I used to watch him all the time like you did, and I was in Nashville Airport 1980s when I traveled a lot by airplane, and he sat over there, and I never introduced myself. He was reading a book, and got him to sign my business card on the back. We talked for about 10 minutes, and what a man. And wish we could watch TV today and have those same kind of folks back again, don't you? That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old days, good old days. Sometimes we say, take us back there. Okay, well, we're not there, so I want to wish everybody a happy Friday and say hello to everybody out there in Currency Land. Not a lot. We got, Bruce said last night that fines and penalties went out, and I had that confirmed today by a couple of other people. One contact said the prosperity packages, which were being kept at the post office for the last several months, have now been removed from the post office. Not sure where they went. The figures probably either to the marshals for distribution or possibly to FedEx or some other place, and they're getting prepared, it sounds like, to do something. And also heard after the markets closed today, there's a good chance that the numbers will be given out and release those. Of course, we've heard that how many times in the last year? Just about every Friday we hear that, but that's okay. 2 nights ago, Fisher said all the intel people had the numbers, and turns out I guess that wasn't true. Or we guess it wasn't. Since Bruce said last night he didn't have them, Ray Ryn says I don't have them. I don't know why people were saying we got numbers, but they're there to be released. I did hear that a high-up attorney did verify that the attorneys at Wells Fargo do have the numbers, though. They absolutely do have them. No problem there. One other intel provider said there was one small legal matter that had to be still taken care of. Don't know what that is, but it should be very quickly. Another contact has a friend who told him that his friend had bought currency over the years and said this will never happen as long as the Rothschilds and these cabal people they're going to hold this up forever. As long as they're around, nothing's going to happen. And he called yesterday and said to his friend, are you ready to rock and roll? Are you ready to exchange? He said, what are you talking about? You've been negative all these years and said this is not going to happen whatsoever. He said, well, I changed my mind. I have things that have been taken care of, and so have the Rothschilds, and this thing is getting ready to pop. He was all excited. So that's always good to hear that. And also, I guess a lot of folks have been eliminated according to what we've read in the last few days in that sense, the cabal and so forth, and to where it may be safe now for things to go forward. Bruce said last night there were 3 codes that had to be entered, and 2 had been for those 800 numbers, so I guess we're just waiting possibly on that 3rd code to maybe be taken care of. And that's about it. That's actually not a lot, but quite a bit. I mean, we're just waiting for the numbers, and everything is sounding good, and especially those prosperity packages being taken out of the post office, and then the verification of fines and penalties are being paid. One person said, well, I didn't get my fines and penalties yet, and I know I'm going to get them. And so maybe some people got them, some haven't. Maybe they're all just on their way. I don't know there on that one. I don't think I'm getting any. I don't know why I would. I've got nothing to do with that. But anyway, when you get positive information like this, it's all positive, period. That's it. So that's my say for the day, and happy Friday to everybody. Turn it back over to you, Rick.
Thanks, Art. I'm going to go ahead and mute you out. Oh, you know what I forgot? I am so sorry. Redneck witness. Take a knee, please. Lord, protect us and guide us in these stressful times. For what is coming down the pike, we need your protection, your love, your patience, and your wisdom. And I ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. TCU, is that you?
That is me. Good afternoon, Jerry.
Hold on. Let me take care of a few things here, and we'll get back with you, okay?
No worries. Thank you.
Now then, I called my research individual, and I queried a question. We're hearing a rumor that, I'll stop that. Let's get back here. That Chase, behind the scenes, is crapping in their tighty-whities because of the derivatives and the Italian bank. And we know that Deutsche Bank is up to their proverbial alligator butt in derivatives, which is tied in with J.P. Morgan, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, and a few others. In my research artist, and thank you very much for that, I said, What do you think about that? So he sent me a little article here, and I want to read it. It says, Deutsche Bank, the lender, is exiting some trading operations, is in talks with J.P. Morgan Chase and Company, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup to sell the last batches of about 1 trillion euros in complex financial instruments. People with knowledge of the matter said. Well, we all know what those financial instruments are. It's those derivatives. A couple weeks ago, we heard, I think it was some news outlet, it wasn't here in the U.S., that they wanted to nationalize Deutsche Bank because it was too big to fail. That was about 3 weeks ago. If you'll remember, we'd been hearing that the derivatives they were in deep doo-doo with Deutsche Bank. And I'd said on a call that we really won't start seeing things happening until they publicly come out and start saying that they're going to do stuff with Deutsche Bank. Well, 3 weeks ago, they started with that. Well, now they're starting the breakup process quietly. They don't want to panic everybody. I wanted to stop and say this part because sometimes I'm thinking people can keep up with my redneck brain, and I found out that's not true because it's just too slow at times. So you're way ahead of me. Ha, ha, ha. Deutsche Bank, based in Frankfurt, has sold about 2/3 of the portfolio of uncleared, I'll say that again, has sold 2/3 of a portfolio of uncleared, mostly single-name credit default swaps since last year and wants to sell the rest within the next few months. Aha. We're starting to publicly see the breakup of Deutsche Bank quietly. Will it be renamed? Who knows? Now for the rest of the story. According to the people who is asked not to be identified as talks are private, that 3 U.S. banks have already purchased some of the instruments. Aha! Who would those people be? Let's see. I'm scrolling down reading the article. My apologies for the dead air space. I'll get to that, who it is, in just a second because they have some more to read. Deutsche Bank is withdrawing from countries, dumping unprofitable clients, and pulling out of businesses as Chief Executive Officer Jan Kryan tries to boost profit and meet tougher capital rules starting in July. It's all about capital and leverage, said Chris Wheeler, a London-based analyst at Atlantic Equities LLP. Spokesman for Deutsche Bank, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup declined to comment. J.P. Morgan was among banks in talks to purchase more than $250 billion of the credit swaps, while Citibank had already almost bought $250 billion. I'm going to stop right there on this particular article. So we see that those three right there, because I'm going somewhere with this, just give me a little redneck latitude. So remember those three. Back up here, go to, is this the one I'm looking for? Here we go. Remember those three names. This is a different article, and it all ties in. Italy's oldest bank gets a 5 billion euro rescue. Au contraire, who would give them any money? Italy's oldest bank has just clinched a multi-billion-dollar rescue after flunking a test of financial strength. Means they're in the crapper. They're in the Al Bundy syndrome. The water is swirling, and they're just about to disappear from sight. So, big long name, Italian name I can't pronounce, and announced on Friday that it had found a definite solution to its legacy of bad loans. It will split them off in a separate entity and raise 5 billion euros in new capital. Aha. Pray tell, Jerry, how are they going to do that? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The value of the new shares is equivalent to 5 times the bank's current market capitalization. The issue will be underwritten by a consortium of global banks including J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, and Goldman Sachs. This means they'll guarantee to provide the funds if not enough investors come forward to buy the shares. Now, I know this was long and drawn out, but if these banks don't take care of find a way to bury the derivatives and remain afloat, the world economy is going to crash. Then everybody's in trouble. But in doing this, if we look at it from simplicity, they've painted themselves in a corner. They don't have any money. The world is wise to what's going on. They can't start any more wars or bankers' wars. They're so underwater with all the credit swaps and defaulting and the derivatives. It's only been sleight of hand and a very sharp pencil that has kept us afloat in backroom deals. So that being said, I now bring in TCU. We're all talking about pretty much the same thing. And hold on just a second. If you remember my conversation, TCU, who is unmuted, is going to explain to us about the TPP. And the reason I'm doing this today, Art gave you pretty much all of the intel that we have. Everything else we've discussed, you've read about it, but this is something important to help get our head above water or above the trees so we can see the forest. And the TPP is that Trans-Pacific Partnership that has been silently pushed down our throats, and it's not a good thing. So I hope this wasn't too long and drawn out, but TCU, can you take it from there and give us a little rendition?
Okay, absolutely. Good afternoon to you and your listeners. Seems to be a day of education, to say the least. This TPP, as many would know it, is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it is a huge, huge globalist trade deal among 12 nations that, number one, would phase out thousands of tariffs. There was an article put out by that in the New York Times on June 1st of this year. You can certainly Google that. As a matter of fact, you can Google anything that I'll give you, and I'll see if I can get some links to you via your email. Maybe you can put this in your forum. I don't know. But the article in the New York Times stated that the purpose of that was to set up corporate tribunals to actually punish nations that would refuse to import goods, particularly goods that are toxic pesticides, toxic medical drugs, GMOs. In a nutshell, it's a nightmare. So why it makes it a nightmare is that wiping out these tariffs is the actual cornerstone of that globalist agenda. And what it does is it allows companies in industrial countries to move their factories into basic third world hellhole situations, paying slave wages, which is a whole different topic of itself, slave labor, ignoring environmental conditions, which are critical for our planet now. And then they export those products back to the very same countries they abandoned with no tariffs, no taxes, no penalties. This is all being snuck through in lame duck Congress, very much the same way, if you recall, the Patriot Act was done. They said we need to approve it, sign, seal, and deliver it before you can read it. And look what that got us. So
I'd like to, can
yeah.
I throw in some, people get mad when I interject, but I just got a text that I think is important. As the person just said, please note, I didn't say anything about Wells Fargo or HSBC bailing out any of these banks in Europe or helping out anybody here. That's also important. And I get focused on something and I forget to look at the bigger picture, and I apologize for interrupting, but we should take footnote of that also. Thank you.
No worries. So the absence of these tariffs is the gift that keeps on giving. It's the only way these corporations can export their products from their factories in the third world and still make a profit. It is the under-level playing field, and in that it creates a world that is run by and for these mega monolithic corporations. It's been well stated, well documented, well put out there by many people that Obama is the Rockefeller globalist man in the White House. But more importantly, he's tasked with pushing through congressional ratification of the TPP come hell or high water. And the hell or high water is what's going to fall on us. He sees hell on the horizon and the water rising. If Trump wins, the TPP is likely toast. If Hillary wins, who knows what will happen. Her latest flip-flop has come out against the TPP. That was her strategy, and she tried to win it over with Bernie Sanders supporters. But Sanders was virulently against the TPP treaty, if your listeners recall that. So basically, Obama is aiming to have Congress ratify this TPP during the lame duck session, which takes place after November's election and before the new winners assume their offices in January. In other words, during this lame duck session, all the members of Congress who now occupy office at this current moment will still be there before the newly elected Congress, whoever they are, ultimately takes over. So Obama's calculating his best chance of passing the TPP is with the present membership of Congress. These are all things that we can take issue with by writing the current Congress. But so then the great big question is, are we still in a twilight zone? And I think if you really look at the TPP, you have to say yes, because here's the picture. When this election is over and we have newly elected Congress ready to take charge in January, but in November, the old Congress is still there, the lame ducks. Obama will make his last-ditch stand to leave the U.S. and 11 other Pacific nations with one final exploding disaster as he moves to wherever he's going, probably near some golf course, I don't know. But as we speak, on a nationwide tour, drumming up support among the congressional members and fence-sitters, they're offering whatever they can get to turn the tide in his favor. So imagine this. You're a member of Congress in current Congress who's just been voted out of office. You're still there in November, and through one of the lame ducks sitting in the chambers, sipping on a good scotch, smoking a great cigar, watching the Law and Order reruns, boxing up mementos, playing poker, running out the strings of expense accounts, whatever, one of Obama's people drops by to convince you to vote for the TPP. What do they have to offer you? Because you're done in Congress. Whatever the deal is, chances are it's going to be sleazy, just like many of the other things have been. But maybe you'd like a great big cushy gig with a big pharmaceutical company. Maybe you'd like a seat on the board of Wall Street firm. Maybe you can score a great price on a house in Bahamas. Maybe your ne'er-do-well son can get into Harvard once he's out of drug rehab. Maybe the video of you in that $3,000 hooker in D.C. hotel will hopefully vanish. Whatever it takes, that is what they're going to use to push it through, because these globalist trades, good jobs in the U.S. have been running away like marathon runners from a starting line. The question is, who cares? The sinking U.S. economy is a fact of life, and everything that you just pointed out prior with the banks lines right up with this. Now you're sitting there a lame duck. Finances, politics, all of it's looking a mess. You need comfort, and you need gifts for the next phase of your life. Inside the Beltway, you can absolutely bet it is make a deal time, which is nothing new. They will be grabbing whatever they can off the table before they go out the door. And the process of this alchemy, lame ducks can become vultures and buzzards and even eagles if they like. So this is, the American worker is in their debt, literally, because there we are with programs that come back at no taxes, no tariffs, no penalties. And it continues to line the pockets of those that are playing this game.
Well, I'd like to. That was a very good summation of what the TPP is, but there's a whole lot more to it. Wingman, we'll get to you in just a minute. It's all about money. So, and a lot of people are nervous to tell. If you'll listen, we're giving it to you right now. Because it's about this, with what we're talking about going on right now, directly affects of how quickly this is coming about to us. When you start hitting, I talked about high finance. The elitists have all their money. They don't need any more, but they're greedy and they want it. What really helps us out is when those people with high finance, meaning corporations like Facebook, Google, I mean, those are cabal controlled, but in that area right there, big business, when you start affecting their bottom line, they're starting to scream. I say that to bring this to you. You can Google this, Bing it, whatever you want to do. Aetna is threatening to quit Obamacare if the government blocks its Humana merger. Now, why is that important? Because it's about money. They can't survive without the merger because Obamacare has been so detrimental to their bottom line, they're trying to figure out how to stay afloat. And everybody's going, why are you throwing Obama underneath the bus? He hasn't done anything, you know. And at the very beginning, I was talking about before 2:30 when I was playing you all that stuff and said, listen, we need to stop throwing spears at each other and let's face facts because Obamacare affects every one of us, good, bad, or indifferent, except for the people in Washington. They're exempt from Obamacare. Serve one day and you're covered for life with federal insurance. Now, that being said, this is a quote from the Aetna CEO to the Department of Justice. Specifically, if the Department of Justice sues to enjoin the transaction, we will immediately take action to reduce our 2017 exchange footprint. New evidence has emerged that Aetna wait a minute, let me get down here. Where's it at? I hate it when I move my mouse. Yes, if they block the merger, Aetna is pulling out of 11 of 15 states where they're going to offer individual health care. Why? Because they can't afford it. It's costing them hundreds of millions of dollars, and they can't recoup it even being refinanced and propped up by the government and given them money. They're still losing money. This is what I'm getting at. All this together, from the banks over in Europe to what I read about J.P. Morgan and all them, all this has direct correlation with what's going on. This is your intel for the day. Wingman, how you doing? Oh, Wingman.
Yeah, I'm here.
How's it going?
It's been better. Moving right along. Yeah, just to chime in on this conversation, that don't lose sight of the global nature of everything needing to be in place, and it's not just one players; it's everybody. The thing with Aetna, until there's more information out there, I don't know as though I would solely blame the Obamacare issue as the only thing that's going wrong at they're playing politics now. They want a merger to go through, and they're not going to tell the truth any more than the other side's going to tell the truth. So, even though I don't, I can tell you firsthand over the past 6 months how much I love Obama. Just throw it in the trash can. But Aetna may be playing a PR and they're more than simply because it's a big insurance company. It's not just Obamacare that affects these people. That's all I want to say on that.
Okay. Well, you're kind of cutting out a little bit. People want to know what the intel is, Wingman. Would you like to provide them some intel?
I take it our special guests are not coming?
Nope.
Okay. Well, from my chair, I am siding with the folks who are saying that the RV has begun and the GCR has begun, but it is not a light switch that gets turned on and everybody walks away happy. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process. Not that the RV or us getting into the banks is going to be a long, drawn-out process. Don't beat that into what I'm saying. What I'm saying is for the globe, the GCR to take effect, to take hold of the global economy, it's going to take some time. And the RV has to be in place in order for that to happen. So that puts us in a good place. But as far as the timeline goes, which is now what we're all looking at, it's a hard thing to guess. And it's going to happen when other things happen first. And those things, from what we're being told, are the bonds need to be squarely being funded, not one or two here and there, not special folks here and there, but bonds have to be funded. There are going to be connected groups that go a little bit before everybody else simply because they're connected. If you've been in business, you know. It's all about who you know. You may not even be the best one out there, but if you know the guy giving out the job, guess who gets the job? And it's the same way with these exchanges. If you've got a personal relationship with a high-end guy in the bank, you're going to go in first. You know, your group is going to go in first. They've pre-negotiated all these deals, so they know that you're a known entity. So you're going to go in first, and then we're all going to go in. And for the life of me, I can't guess it if that's, you know, is that 1 day away or is it 1 month away? I honestly don't know. But good news is we're in it now. It's happening. And what Jerry and I talked about on Monday's call about the exchange procedure, if anything, you guys really need to start focusing on your post-RV strategies and what you're going to do at the exchange meeting and what you're going to do afterward, because there's enough information out there now where everybody should have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, the bankers are going to pick up on that, and you're going to be treated accordingly. So, you know, it's like a repeat. It's a repeat of Monday. It's just we're 4 days closer than we were on Monday. You got anything to add to that, Jared? Because that's how I see it.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a caller here. Feedback on your end, Iko.
Yeah, I'm in the car. I don't know what to do about it. I'll just mute out while I'm not talking.
Okay. Pittsburgh 412. Come on down. Cell phone in Pittsburgh 412. There you go. That's you. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Is this me?
That's you.
Hey, hi, Jerry. Great to be on the call today. Hey, I wanted to comment a little bit about what you were talking about regarding the situation with Obamacare and Aetna insurance and, you know, things that are happening. I think a lot of people don't realize that one of the things that was written into Obamacare is that in 2017, all the subsidies that were going to the insurance companies to kind of offset taking on all of these extra high-risk patients is going to disappear. And the fact that we have, you know, a political election, you know, taking place, and we really don't know who's going to be in office come 2017. And we also don't know even what's going to be, you know, who's going to be in place in regards to the Senate and the House of Representatives. So there's going to be a lot of chaos that's going to exist in the marketplace regarding health care, because, you know, if Trump gets in, he wants to do one thing, and if Hillary gets in, she wants to do something else. And the fact that these different and trying to get Congress to agree on anything. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in terms of where health care is going to go and regarding premiums. And in fact, there's been several articles in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, et cetera, that are talking about this already. They're expecting insurance premiums to rise anywhere from 26% to 260%. Because you're not going to have the marketplace as it exists right now, according to Obamacare. So that's another sort of consideration in all of this as well.
Please keep going. You are a plethora of information.
So, you know, it's just, you know, we talk about how Aetna's threatening to pull out. Well, they're not the only one that's going to, you know, they're the first in line
that's sort of, rattling their saber a little bit. But you're going to see the same thing starting to happen with other insurance carriers as well. And so the situation that exists right now with Obamacare, and everybody thinks it's wonderful and they're able to get coverage and so on, I think come 2017 it's going to be kind of a rude awakening in terms of that whole situation. And and he's going to be gone at that point, and we're just not going to know what the next step is in this whole process. If Trump comes in, he wants to completely rewrite the whole thing, and he wants to put his program into play, and so, and however long that will take, to get any consensus. Hillary comes in, she's got her own little plan in terms of the situation, and even if they want to get some sort of extension on this, they're going to have to get Congress to agree on that extension of this, and that's not going to happen right away. And so it's, like I said, it's going to be an interesting mix.
Well, thank you for calling in.
Hey, my pleasure.
Medford, Oregon. Come on down.
Hello, Jerry.
Yes,
Can you hear
ma'am.
me? Oh, thank you so much for the Pledge of Allegiance. That at the beginning of the show, that was really wonderful. It was something that we all need to remember. And I want to thank you and Iko and Art for hanging in. I have a question which, if Iko's still available, he may know the answer to. And this is regarding the time frame for redeeming the Zim, because I gifted mine to someone from another country who will have projects here and in Europe. And last night, Bruce said that they want to have it all done in 7 days. So that's going to be a challenge for people in other countries. So I wondered if Iko has a reality check on how long we'll have to redeem it.
Well, first
right.
of all, who is? Can I light into this, Jerry? Because I want to light it.
Oh, it's for you. It's all you.
Who is they? Who said
She's
that?
talking about Bruce.
Oh, it was on Bruce's call that
So,
apparently Abbott Downing, it sounded like, or Wells Fargo.
Yeah. I need to make a very direct statement for everybody, and I know some of you aren't going to like this, but anything that comes from the Joseph Fisher Bruce camp, just take it as pure fiction. I don't know how else to say it. You cannot rely on any of that information. There is some truth behind it, but the truth may be old, for example. The latest information we're getting is that yes, do they want to get the Zim process? They do. Do they want to get everybody in and out as fast as they can? Yes. But there's no 7-day rule or 72-hour rule or anything like that. Your Zim meeting may be a completely separate negotiation if you have multiple currencies. Your Zim meeting is going to be complicated based on what your humanitarian aspirations are. It's a negotiation with the bank. It's a big deal of a meeting, and it's not going to be some simple, I'm a believer, therefore I should get the greatest rate. No way. You're going to have to prove to them that you can manage this money. So what I would say, though, specifically to your question about, somebody being out of country, what makes good sense is to get online, to register with the bank, your information. So, the 800 number comes out, you call that number and you explain to them that you're out of the country. It's going to take you, 48 hours, 72 hours just to get back in to the States. So you want your appointment to be 3 or 4 days out.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to penalize you for that.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss out on the good rates. You're not. That's not what it's about. It's about being able to manage those higher rates.
Yes.
How much help the bank feels that you need. Don't get hung up on any of these theories that are out there. You know, just don't. Just know that you're going to be able to get into the bank and you're going to be able to get the best rate for you. And that's the simple statement.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know,
that didn't make sense to me. Well, he didn't say. He just said they want to do it in 7 days and less if possible. So, you know, it's complicated for someone who lives in another country and has to come here.
Yeah. Well, that's not what we're hearing now. And we're hearing that from somebody who went through the Wells Fargo training. Okay. Okay. We're hearing it black and white. There's no more interpretation. There's no more filters. There's no more, galactic entities dictating what's going to happen with your Zim. All that stuff is nonsense. It's just utter nonsense. And if you get sucked into it, it's your own fault. That's not the right. I take that back. If you believe that's the case, it's your America, and I'm not speaking necessarily to you right now. People are going to believe what they're going to believe. But don't be intimidated. Don't think you're less of a spiritual person or less of a Christian, or you love Jesus less because you don't believe this nonsense that's being floated.
No, I don't think that's what's being communicated, but I think it's a much.
I know other people are though, and I'm kind of using your question to springboard into that. The banks absolutely want you to get the best deal possible. They want you to stay with them. They want you to do future business with them.
Yeah.
And they've got all the bases covered. They really do. They're not, they've been planning for a long, long time. And Wells Fargo is the lead bank on the Zim. That was their perk for managing this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm also going back to in the days of Tony's calls when they said there'd be an end date for the redemption of the Zim, and nobody knew what it would be, if you recall that.
Yes.
And so that was part of, the concern here.
Yeah. The longer you've been listening, Tony and DC were very interesting in that they were being handled. Okay, so DC was Tony's handler. Somebody was giving DC his marching orders. Okay, and Tony was doing his best to do right by us. I completely believe that.
I do too.
And he would throw hints in there, and he would say things. He would give us cryptic messages that if you read between the lines, you could sort of figure out what the intelligence was. So if you've been listening since Tony days, you can piece. We'll call it the truth, although that's a loaded term these days. You can piece an accurate picture of what is actually going on. You can piece that together, But I would just say to everybody that do not take as the absolute fact these different timelines, these different rates that are put out there. They're just not. They're probably not true. And in my mind, the way I see it is, they aren't true. If it doesn't make good business sense, and if it doesn't behave like a bank or look like a bank, then it isn't a bank. And a lot of this, I did $1 million deals in the past, actually more than that. And I know how banks operate. I know how they think. They're always going to chicken out as far as their liability and exposure. They don't take risks. The bank does not take a risk.
No.
The bank never loses either. They want
it didn't make sense. Excuse me, because if the ZIM is worth so much, why would we not be able to redeem it like 2 weeks from the time we get the 800 numbers? Is what I'm thinking.
Yep. Oh, okay.
All righty, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Raleigh, North Carolina, 919. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry, Ico, TCU, Art, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. You speak up just a little bit, please.
Is this better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, I'd like to go back to Tuesday's call, and you went through 3 different exchange procedures. And my question is, where is that information coming from? Is it coming from something you think? Is it coming from other gurus? Is it coming from somebody on the inside that's given you this information?
There you go. I like that scenario.
Okay, so number 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I was just trying to clarify.
You're
That's
welcome.
it? Okay. Bye.
Can't pronounce it real well, so Charlotte in VI, Virgin Islands. Oh, wait, God, I got to unmute you. Never mind. Virgin Islands, 340. Come on down.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
No. Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you. Bad connection there. Too much background noise in Virgin Islands. Clear it up.
I'll pass. What? I will pass. Go to someone.
Port St. Lucie, 772. Come on down.
Hi, Jerry.
Hello. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call. I've been following this for a number of years, but also I had a business. We did international stuff, worked with the Middle East. And so I know about the difficulties of the political problems and trying to transfer money overseas and this, that, and the other. And in 1995, when I sold my company, I listened to Sir John Templeton, talk about on a CNN interview how he was going to dedicate the last third of his life to philanthropic processes. And he basically became the spokesperson and the man who sort of modeled the philanthropic work that would go on and come to fruition over the next several years and decades. And the amount of money that's involved in this, I think some people on your call have spoken about this. You know, you're talking about numbers that are the equivalent of a country's economy to an individual. I mean, the thing that I'm most concerned about, being in my 70s, is the time frame to be able to put together a plan. I haven't done the study necessary or have the resources at this point to be able to go and say, okay, I want to take a course in philanthropic management, and I want to know and understand what it is that we're trying to do and how to do this. Because I've had a lot of money before, but nothing like this. So what I'm asking is there someone at ICO or someone to speak up to the issue of those of us who have plans, want to generate intergenerational programs aimed at philanthropic targets, but we're going to need to go to school. This is not a simple thing. And I want to know, what can we count on from the points of view that these people have investigated in terms of bank response and that type of thing? Because, I'm a babe in the woods when it comes to $1 billion. Never had $1 billion. So, and we're talking $1 trillion. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So that's just, I throw that out there because I don't know where to go next, and I'm concerned. You've got 6 or 7 days to exchange your SIM currency, and then the others are coming along. But basically, you've got to come up with an overall program, and the only person who's really competent to do that is somebody who's already done it.
I'll throw in my 2 cents, and then Wingman can throw in his, and it was you're the last caller for the day.
Is this something appropriate for the people?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hold on,
yeah.
Hold on. Just a minute. Absolutely. So when you go in there in the bank and you explain to them what's going on in your age, and they're going to say, well, you got a couple choices. We've got some people over here we can introduce you to, because that's what it's going to boil down to, whether you find them through Wells Fargo or some other endeavor, and there's your fast-paced learning curve. But you're the prime candidate the bank wants to help. So I know that's a very short answer that encompasses a lot, but that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Wingman, I gave my 10 seconds. How about you?
Well, I would say, there's nothing like, first of all, you're going to protect your money. You're gonna either put it in the vehicle to protect it. Then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to create a national network of drop-in centers for veterans in crisis, and especially the follow-up, because that's where everything's lacking right now. I've been working with these guys for years, and the problem is the follow-up. You can dynamite the dam and get them back on track, but keeping them on track is the true challenge. And that program doesn't exist right now. It exists with well, I won't get into the details. The bottom line is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start small. I'm going to do one in my area, and I'm going to work on all the bugs, find out what it takes, and I'm also going to write a few checks to existing organizations, because if you write a big enough check, you can follow what they're doing. You can learn by watching others. And if you think about it, that's what any apprentice does. He watches the master carpenter, the master mechanic, whatever. He learns from somebody who's got everything under their belt. I don't know if there's. I went through a formal education. A nice, expensive formal education, and I had to throw all of it out when I hit the street after graduation, because it was taught me by people in an academic environment, and I didn't know how to deal with a union delegate in New York City, or didn't know that all 5 boroughs were controlled by the borough presidents and the various religious things. These are things that you just learn from being in business. So you you know the routine there. You don't start on the 10th rung of the ladder. You start on the bottom.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, it's unfortunate that it's not unfortunate. You know, I feel you when you say, you know, you're 70 years old. How much time do you have to do this? I'm feeling the same thing, and I'm in my early 60s. It's like, am I going to be able to learn fast enough to have an effect? But you can't go wrong with starting small and making all the mistakes you're going to make. And fortunately, now we're going to have the kind of funds where it won't nosedive the effort. It might set you back in time, but time becomes your enemy. And what I'm hoping is that there are existing organizations that if they had the funds, they could do the work. And that's going to be part of my initial thrust is, you know, I'm going to hire people to go mining for that gold. I hope that gives you a little insight.
Did that help you out, sir?
Yes, it's actually what I had in mind. The thing that I'm sure that Bill Gates, when he first was successful with Microsoft, had to find a way to how to handle this, and that's exactly what I'm looking at. There's got to be a philanthropy university or something like that would help people who are going to acquire this level.
I'm betting once you get in there and you honestly explain what you want to do and the circumstances, they're going to say, yes, sir, we can help. And then it will be up to you to make that decision. So let me go on to one more person.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Truly, last person of the day. And this person is over there in Boynton Beach, Florida, 561, Boynton Beach.
Good afternoon, Jerry.
Howdy.
Professor Florida here. Good afternoon, Iko.
Oh, like I would forget that voice.
Long time, no talk.
No, but doing a great deal of listening. And you raised the topic that warms the cockles of my heart. How do we, older, mature people, many of us with lots of experience, with big corporate money in the $600 million, $600 million type of budgets where we operated many thousands of people? My two questions one, would somebody of our age be able to get the large sums of money? Because what we would do, which everybody just talked about, is starting small and growing it. And I have two projects. One is to take an entire educational system from grade school on up, totally out of the system, with the teachers, with the curriculum, and grow it so that it could be moved from district to district, city to city. But that, of course, takes time. The other one is a series of desalinization plants. And, of course, the idea of recruiting the people that will stay on past my time is the real challenge. But because of my age, will they not give me the funds to try and start that kind of a program?
Well, to answer your second question, Professor, they are not releasing the rules of engagement until we get there. And
I understand that one.
Iko knows that he has heard me stand on my soapbox asking that question. As to the first one, that's Iko. The first question is his answer. The second one I took care of.
Mm-hmm. But in any event, we are chomping at the bit to begin implementing our humanitarian type of plans. And that's all I can say. And it's good to hear the voices of the two of you. But I do stay in the normally I'm listening to you on the computer right now because I didn't know how to come in through the computer. But I said, well, let me dial in and see if you all remember.
Of course. And it's good to hear you again, Professor. I'll give you a call here in a couple of days, okay?
Fair enough. I'll buy it.
Thank you.
By the way, look at your record for the other number. I'm on my secondary number.
Okay. Got it.
I go. Stay well, and thank you for all your thoughts.
You too, Professor.
All righty. I think that's enough for the day. I've created enough conflict, headaches, controversy. Pretty well been just an all-out redneck peeing in the pool. So, you want to sum it up real quick, Iko? Because if not, we're going to do once and done.
I think all I can say is I can't wait to see how this winds up on recast. You know, how distorted it will be. But that's okay.
All righty. All right, everybody. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity again to bring to you information that I think we all needed. Some might agree, some might disagree, but that's why it's called the WINGIT call, from one day to the next, one call to the next. And Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve you one more day. I just ask that you let me serve many more days before you call me home. I ask the same for the rest of my brothers and sisters out there, to listen to what you have to say, provide them the guidance that you've provided me. And you've provided me a lot. I need a lot more myself. So on that, I say thank you and goodbye.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye. Welcome to the conference. Please enter the conference